Hey guys, it's Bailey. Welcome back to the channel. This is going to be a quick review of two brand new limited edition kind of holiday-esque palettes from the brand Maybelline, which is kind of unusual from them. I mean, drugstore brands do come out with holiday collections or sets occasionally, but I have never seen a palette quite like this from a drugstore brand. So they retail for around $15 a piece, depending on where you find them, if you have coupons. And one is the Gilded Gold palette. You'll see that it contains lots of warm tone browns and neutral shades. And the other is called Up in Smoke, which is a cooler, more traditional smoky eye sort of palette. I don't think it's too hard to get your hands on these. I bought the first one that I got, Gilded in Gold, from the Ulta website because I hadn't seen them in drugstores yet and it was in the just or like brand new section. So wanted to get my hands on it and did, but then I was in a drugstore, I think CVS, and found the Up in Smoke palette. So you can find these more readily. You don't have to place an order online, but okay, spoiler alert, I really like them. So if you want to get your hands on them, I think the safest way, the surest way to make sure you get them is to order online. But if you happen to see them passing in the drugstore, there's a good chance that might be the case. I'd recommend picking them up. And here's why. This is kind of a backwards review. Typically it goes the other way around, but let's talk about why they're so great. So first off, I'm gonna start with the Gilded in Gold palette. These are unlike any other drugstore holiday kind of collection. It's not really a palette that I've ever seen, and you'll see why in a sec. It is because it actually contains an eyeshadow quad here. In the Gilded in Gold, it's clearly warm tone golden neutrals. You also get a blush, a lip gloss, it's more like an opaque sort of lip gloss, a chubby eye kohl, and then underneath here, these two panels, come out. Now they don't lock, that's kind of a downside, so they do kind of get pushed in here. But they open up to reveal a highlighter, and then you have a sponge here for application. It's not super great for applying highlight, but it's not a bad tool to have in your arsenal along with the blush brush and the traditional kind of eye sponge set. So right off the bat, this is a totally unique configuration of products in a drugstore palette. So naturally I had to give it a try. Then once I actually got in here, swatched everything, wore everything, I was super impressed with the quality of everything. The eyeshadows are all very super smooth and pigmented. The shimmer is very finely milled, so it comes off closer to a metallic rather than a chunky kind of shimmer all over your eye. Although there is this one gold down here in the corner that does have, it's more of an iridescent overlay, which is kind of fun for the holidays and actually really fun to play around with this chubby eye pencil. It has a nice sharp point. You will need a chubbier sharpener to get at that, but it makes it great for not only lining the eyes like I do have today from the Up in Smoke palette, but you can also like use it as an eye base, and then all four of these shades become like four totally different shades, especially that iridescent gold shimmer. So this palette offers some surprising versatility. The blush over here is kind of a soft apricot shade. It is slightly layerable, but this is one part of the palette that I do feel like is going to be a little limiting to skin tones, because I think if you have fair to light skin, you're good golden, pun intended. But if you have like medium to deep, you might have some issues with that showing up. But beyond that though, all of these shades are very, very flattering. And then you get into the highlight, and it is a pretty fun, beautiful, shimmery or iridescent golden highlight. I don't like it quite as much as I do the one that I'm actually wearing today that is in the Up in Smoke palette. But it is a good highlight, and you're not looking at a lot of chunky shimmers in here, so it is nice and finely milled. You're not going to look like a disco ball. It's going to be a nice lit from within sort of glow. Then you move up to the lip gloss. I was pretty impressed with just how opaque this was. It's kind of a cream finish with like naturally that glossy sheen, but it doesn't show any like sponge or brush strokes like opaque glosses can. You just get a lot of nice pigmentation, a beautiful glossy sheen without any sort of milkiness that sinks into fine lines. And then like I said, the liner is really great. It's kind of a waxier consistency, so it does work really well as an eye base, but it also works really well on the waterline and the upper lash line, which, like I said before, is exactly how I'm wearing it now. Another bonus with this palette, it doesn't feel flimsy, and it includes a nice big mirror here. I was super impressed. All the demos that you're seeing throughout this video, I am actually using this mirror. It's a really nice sizable mirror, which is great for me who isn't actually doing their makeup at a desk. This is how there's nothing in front of me but a camera here, so I actually rely on having a mirror to do my makeup in, so that's kind of nice. It's also great if you're on the go, which is presumably the purpose purpose of having all these products in one palette. I'm just really impressed with this. For $15 and knowing that you can probably get it at a discount, whether you have a $3.50 off at Ulta or dollars to spend at Walgreens, or you know, they are having a sale at CVS, you can most likely find this for less than $15, and I think that is an amazing deal for an all-in-one kind of palette. So then let's get into the palette that I'm wearing on my eyes right now. That is the Up in Smoke palette, which is naturally a cooler, smokier alternative to the Gilded and Gold palette. And inside here, it's the exact same format, but instead of getting 4 warm shadows, you get 4 traditional smoky eye shadows. One is a frosty white that I'm wearing in the inner corner. One is a mid-tone shimmery gray. And then you have 2 blacks. One is shimmery and one is a traditional matte black. I'm wearing the matte black in my outer corner. And once again, all of these shadows perform really, really well. They're very smooth. The one thing that all of these shadow or palettes are lacking is a matte. You don't get that matte like crease shade. I don't find that's a big shortcoming. I have managed to work it out in each of the looks that I've created with this, but those who love matte shadows and tend to shy away from shimmery or glittery shadows, that might be a downfall for these palettes. But as far as shadow quality goes, these are great. Then you move into blush, and it's what I'm wearing today. I was surprised at how layerable this was. Unlike the kind of soft apricot, this is a somewhat brighter peach, and even though it looks pretty pale here in the palette, it really layers up nicely. I was surprised with how much I could layer it. You might not be able to tell right now though, because then I went into the highlighter in this palette, which is amazing. However, much more pronounced than the highlight in the Gilded and Gold palette. This is definitely a significant pink toned, not iridescent, kind of pearlescent highlighter, which I have been loving lately. A nice in-your-face highlight, not gonna lie. Some might not like that, but this is easily my favorite highlight of the 2 in here. Oh, and then one thing to mention about this blush is that in the pan, it looks like there is some noticeable shimmer. It doesn't come off that way when it's actually on the cheeks. It has a matte base with some shimmer that does go all the way through. It's not like it's an overspray, but just so you know, if you're looking at this palette thinking, she didn't say there was shimmer in here, it's because you really can't tell when it's on your face, I don't think. Especially once you put this highlight over it, it's kind of not what is front and center. So if you're not a huge fan of shimmery blush, I wouldn't worry about it too much being here in this blush, because it just doesn't show up. And then moving on to the lip gloss and eyeliner. The eyeliner is exactly the same. I mean, exact same pencil, so there's nothing new to say there. But the lip gloss is what I'm wearing here today, and it is a light pale pink. Same sort of deal. It's a little less opaque than what you get, the red that you get in the other palette, but it does offer a significant amount of pigmentation. And these glosses are really smooth, really non-sticky. I mean, they feel very thin, so it doesn't feel like you're wearing thick, heavy goopiness on your lips, and yet you still get a surprising amount of coverage. The other thing that I was worried about with this kind of pink, pale pink, milky gloss is those always tend to sink into my fine lines, and they didn't here, or aren't, since I'm currently wearing it. It doesn't happen with this formula, so I need to re-explore Maybelline lip glosses, because from what I remember, they have a much thicker, not a much thicker, but a significantly thicker lip gloss formula. And this is really nice. This is really, really nice. So I'm gonna go back into my, it's really making me wanna go back into my Maybelline lip glosses, because it's a really just thin but substantial formula that you don't have to worry about feathering, sinking into fine lines, but it's also kind of a barely there sort of feel with maximum color payoff and pigmentation. I feel like I've talked about the lip gloss enough, but overall, these are phenomenal palettes. I guess I can't tell you again how much I recommend you pick these up, because they're such a unique, not a unique idea, but a new concept to come from a brand like Maybelline. So naturally it's very affordable, but I feel like they have given you bang for your buck with these. So thank you guys so much for watching. I'd love to hear your thoughts if you've tried these, if you have some interesting ways to use them, different looks you've created. Would love to hear that. Let me know in the comments below. But besides that, guys, thank you so much for watching. Please don't forget to subscribe if you haven't already, and I will see you in my next video. Bye.